The key to these is isolate the radical. So there's your key. I'll show you a situation where you isolate, if there are two of them, you have to isolate one and then get rid of it, and then isolate the other one, get rid of it. So there's maybe sometimes you have to do that a couple times. Okay? But in general, isolate the radical, you're going to be good. Okay? So if you're asked to do something like solve this cube root,
is that y or 4?
4.
Okay.
So solving these equations, I should only have one variable. Just like yesterday. No, good question. Is the 8 inside the radical?
No.
No, it's not. This is where you kind of have to be careful with your writing when you write problems down. Because if you do that, well, I don't know. Okay, you might mess you up. Okay, so you do want to be very deliberate if those are separate. In fact, it's better if it's written like that. Now it's obvious, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but that's how, the top is how your book wrote it. Okay, so be aware that that can happen. Right, so if I need to isolate that radical, how do I move the 8? Like it was, subtract it. You have to isolate the radical. Otherwise, okay, can you imagine cubing? You have to FOIL it twice. FOIL the first two and then FOIL the third end, and it just creates a big mess. Okay, so isolate, life is much better. Quick side note, can a cube root be negative?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cube roots can be negative. In fact, any odd root can be negative. Can even roots be negative?
No.
No. Okay, so keep that in mind. If this were a square root, we're done, no solutions. So if it looked like this, right? The square root cannot be a negative. This is no solutions. You're done. Okay. No real solution. Right. So I will eventually. Okay. So what do we do to? How do we counteract the cube root? What's the inverse of the cube root?
Cube.
Yeah, cubic. It does pay to know cubics through 5, 6. Other than that, not really big deal.
It's negative 64.
Yeah, so negative 64. And add, subtract 2. One last step. Let's check your answers. Remember, roots have some domain issues, like we talked about from the homework. If it's a square root, we can't have a negative in here, and sometimes the answers we get push that through, so we have to check. Check your answer, that one works. Most odd numbered roots don't pose problems because negatives are okay. Right, so more than likely the odd numbered roots you're going to be alright. It's those even roots that cause problems. Arizona's game today. Are we good there? Yes. So that's, if you get those, hopefully it's got a single root in it, you isolate that and solve, okay? You will run into problems with a couple of roots in it. So let's see. Yeah, we need to solve it. Do you like directions? That's a nice problem. I'm not going to do anything because there's no direction. Right, thank you very much. Always have to be told what to do.
Square the entire other side.
Okay, so this radical is not isolated, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I isolate it?
No.
No. It's gonna, this one's isolated. We got one that's isolated, we have to work with that. Okay, so if you have two of them, isolate one. Okay, how do we eliminate that now? Okay, we gotta square it. But when you square this side, you have to pull it. Okay, so these can get messy. You know the math, I've seen you do it, you just have to work it through. Okay. So this becomes x plus 10.
Right.
Yay, gone. Okay, so this is 5 minus root 3 minus x times 5 minus x. Don't you dare kill a puppy dog and do this. No. It's animal abuse, you can go to jail.
I was like,
Yeah, so this is what we have to do. Okay, first times first, and then the inners and the outers. Okay, minus 5 root 3 minus x minus 5 root 3 minus x. And then when you multiply those, you get 3 minus x.
So those are the exact same thing, won't it just be that scale? Never mind.
No.
Not yet.
Magruder? Okay. Looks messier, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Okay. What can I do with these? They're like terms. You can combine them. So,
And so would the square just cancel out the root?
minus 10 root 3 minus x's. So foiling those gets rid of, it doesn't get rid of the root, but it allows you to isolate it later. Right? So now we can move all the rest of this over here, and we can square it and it will eliminate. So this is where you need to isolate the radical again. So if you write notes here, isolated. Now isolate that root. Good. Take the numbers and the x's over. Whoa. You get 2x minus 18. I try not to make these up. That's right in the book.
You try not
Yeah, it tends to get, you get messy pretty quick if I don't do it right, so just want to stay. Is that radical isolated?
Well, we have to divide by negative 10, right?
You can, because that creates fractions though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're okay to leave this as is. Yeah. 'Cause if I square this side, I can square each term and I'm good because they're multiplied.
Oh, so just be
Up
100.
here, they were subtracted or added.
Yeah.
That's when I have to FOIL. Okay. But here I do not have to. So I just broke my rule, didn't I? Isolate the radical. So we're okay to do 10 squared is 100 and 3 minus x. That's okay.
But then there's
Now you FOIL again. I tell you, dude, sometimes they get kind of long. They're not, I mean, you've done all this before. You just gotta work it through.
Why do people care about solving that?
Yeah,
You said that?
This solve it. I
It's like you're never
never
gonna foil. It's not useful, so I'm not gonna teach you.
Yeah.
Like they switch first and
What's this doing squared?
Yeah,
Reading your text. 324?
324?
Yeah,
Is that right?
that's what, yeah.
The calculator says, so it's true.
Happy to read cycle walk it. This point morning chore. I'm walking outside.
What next? We have a polynomial we have to isolate or set equal to 0, right? Okay, so we have to take all this, simplify it, and move it. So
300.
Mr. Arthur, where'd you get the negative 72 from?
when you
Quickly multiply 2x times negative 18 to x.
Oh, okay.
yeah, so this is 36 and 36.
First I taught you figure that out mentally.
That.
Showing that?
Eventually.
No, when you just went from there to there, I thought you figured that out.
You have to rewrite it.
Did you figure it? No, you have to put it. No,
Oh, I don't
As
know.
Mr. Arthur said.
Oh, never mind.
I look at the book for the problem.
So that.
because it's valuable for you to see me think these through, right? All right, so we have some numbers to move. Yeah, they're long, it's okay.
4x squared plus 20x plus 20x. It wasn't.
There you go, you set 0 now. These problems really aren't that long. Well, for you they are at this point. Get further on, we have problems that take you 15 minutes, and then you get to college, and I had problems that I'd stare at for 3 hours. No luck involved there. That was by choice. Happens in some math to me too. So, now that we're at a point where we've done this several times, what do you want to do first?
Take out the 4. No, you want to take out the 4 from each.
That greatest common factor, and 4 in each of them. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I make mistakes on that all the time.
Then you get like.
So that makes factoring easy now, right?
Yes. Plus 6 plus 4.
And so x is possibly -1 -6.
Yeah, but it's not with the 4, you can't just. Pull it out.
There's a common factor of 4 in each of these.
Oh,
So if you divide by 4, what's 0 divided by 4? It does not change anything. It changes what it looks like. It doesn't change the zeros.
We have
You have to check your answers. Because I'm pretty sure one of those isn't going to work.
just do it the hard way.
Well, maybe not. Okay, check.
don't try to put the negative.
I can relate.
I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, totally straight.
There's about 100 of them, so we're going to win.
That's 3, right?
What?
That's 2. 5 minus 2 is 3. So x equals -1 works. Check. And now do -6. Two. 9, 5 minus 2. Hey, look at that, they both work. So those are actually your solutions.
Was that it?
That's about the range of problems you're going to see. The easier ones, the first, and the hardest ones come like this.
It's not hard to.
Some people think it's not hard, you just have a lot of work to do. If you're preparing your mind for like next year, yesterday I showed you a radical rational. Okay, we solve equations like this a lot. That's a fine example of an equation you'll solve in calculus. We calculate derivatives. They're called derivatives. We set them equal to 0. And we solve for those values to find minimums and maximums where a function's increasing and decreasing. So, stuff like that we handle regularly if you're getting yourself ready for next year. calculus things. Some of you are going to end up with stats. If you're preparing for stats, the best thing you can do at this point is learn how to explain your answers. Okay. Yeah, right. You have to write about your answers. Any questions? Oh! There you go. Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving.
Did I write that down?
And Happy New Year. Well, do you want to have one of those straight?
17.
No, that makes it not tomorrow, yeah.
What's going on tonight that you don't want to do it?
Life.
Have to get away.
Practice that.
The rest of
Meeting
my-
has to go.
I have a Halo tournament.
Don't play the
Oh, you're wrestling, huh?
No, like the,
No, I
I didn't
don't.
see the word.
It is nice.
I think we should have a meeting tomorrow, just so you guys are done with it.
That's.
So you don't have,
Tomorrow is Friday.
welcome to the club.
It doesn't end.
Yeah, let's just get it done for tomorrow.